Now, it's really difficult to find a starting point. Ever since the Roundhay Garden scene from 1888, we get, many short films which are mostly documentary in nature. And by documentary, I mean like setting up a camera and filming one scene, which was, in all fairness, usually short. This may not seem like much in our standards, where, you can pick up any phone and randomly film a guy ramming into a street sign. But it is this period that marked the beginning of cinema, it itself being the result of Industrial Revolution. A few big names spring up in the 90s, of which perhaps the biggest are Thomas Lightbulb Edison, who, in all fairness, can't really take the credit for that, and his assistant, William Kennedy Dixon. But keep in mind, in the beginning of all of this, you didn't have movie projections. The kinetoscope, which is a brainchild from the Edison workshop, which you can see here, isn't a projector. Rather, you put your eyes on this thing, and through this whole mechanism, the light is cast on the images as they rapidly move in front of your eyes. That isn't to say that Edison didn't want to do projections, it's just that, they were a pain for his wallet, and the kinetoscope was, in all fairness, doing very well on its own. He would eventually join the bandwagon as people like the Lumiere brothers made it work commercially, when he purchased the Vitascope from Thomas Armagh. Interestingly, the Edison workshop made the first experiment with recording sound to go along the short films. Whether or not this was meant to go completely in sync with the pictures is kind of unclear to me, since I've read different explanations, but you had kinetoscopes joined with a cylinder phonograph, which combined made a kinetophone. If you're wondering how this looked and sounded, well, look no further. Here is the only known surviving clip of this experiment, the Dixon Experimental Sound Film, courtesy of the Library of Congress in Washington.
Go ahead.
Even though that happened, the combination of sound and film didn't take off and wouldn't take off at least till the 1920s, and we have a lot of ground to cover by then. So yeah, the kinetoscope was a success, a big one in fact, but around 1895 the era of actual projections was in the wake, and this is huge. We simply cannot go through this era without mentioning the one and only Lumiere brothers. While they were not the very first ones to make public presentations, they were definitely the big kahunas in the business. Their most popular shots, like the workers leaving the Lumiere factory or the train arriving at La Ciotat, are kind of precursors to documentaries called actualities, showing in one simple shot some everyday scenes, events, etc., lasting for the duration of the reel, which was some 50-ish seconds. Mind you, Edison's films were also showing some simple scenes, but their disadvantage was that they filmed most of their stuff indoors, with the exception of, the balking Bronco. Lumiere's kinetograph was not only suited for outdoor shots, but it was a great piece of invention since you could shoot, develop, and project with the same exact machine. They also made some attempts at early comedy and fiction, with the famous La Rosée that proves that some notions of hilarity are truly immortal. This particular clip of Le Charcuterie Mécanique shows an imaginary machine in which you put in a pig, and as a result, various other meat products are instantly produced from that pig. What I find interesting is not the poor old pig, but that it is actually referred to by some as the very first science fiction film. Okay then. Of other things I found interesting was the infamous Kiss, directed by William Hess and distributed by the Edison Company. This was seen as so inappropriate and dirty, it drove some people mad. Just this kissing scene. Really a difference in the time, isn't it? Wiki states that a contemporary critic described it as this: the spectacle of prolonged pestering on each other's lips was beastly enough in life size on the stage, but magnified to gargantuan proportions and repeated 3 times over. It is absolutely disgusting. Another from the Edison Company is The Execution of Mary Stuart, an interesting example of an attempted historical recreation and the early uses of editing. Now, there are many more clips and happenings during this time which I didn't show. I couldn't possibly begin this whole thing without giving a mention to the very beginnings of cinema. But the nature of all of these films is such that it's difficult to talk about them in any reviewish format, a term I'm still evading. A lot of these are available on YouTube. I think I watched some 50 to 60 of the early films by myself, so if you want more, the internet will kindly assist you. Even more so given that these things are free due to copyright expiring. Well then, I'll see you soon when we enter Émile Reynaud.